Yeah, it's crazy. Like Whataburger's not in other states. When I first found that shit out, it like really blew my mind. And then like you hear about now Whataburger franchised out, right? Like they got it in different states. So it's just kind of crazy to think about it though, because like the running joke that like I keep on seeing like online, it's like, oh, when you move to Austin, or like when you move to Texas or whatever, and it's like you got to get Whataburger, bro. Blah 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 blah. And I guess I'm just fucking spoiled because the other day I had some, and maybe it was just the Whataburger, right? I went back to my old ghetto ass neighborhood, and I went out with my dad and my stepmom, right? We went out, and then we're talking shit, and then I was like, damn, I was like, you know what sounds good in the bitch? I said a Frito pie burger from fucking Whataburger. So,
Yeah.
uh, oh, see that came out since you've been gone. So they make literally Frito pie, son, and put that shit on a burger. Is scrumdiddlyumptious. Anyway, I go to the fucking Whataburger.
And nobody even knows about Frito pies out here. I got to make them myself.
What? Yeah, I got a Frito pie.
All out here, we got that. Man, they're all about that trash ass tri-tip of meat. I'm like, that's the shit we put into chili. Like that's
Yeah.
chili meat. That's not. They treat it like it's fucking fajitas. Like they say, oh man, it's the best shit ever. Like no, man, that's just whatever. Anyways,
God damn. Lord help them if they ever got some like actual fucking barbecue or something like that. Shit. Lord help.
well, where I'm at, the elevation's too high. Yeah, no, they wouldn't. I'm dying for some good brisket. That's why I go back to Texas. I try to go back like twice a year at least.
Shit, dude. If you're ever back in Houston, we gotta go to Triple J Smokehouse, dog, or Pinkertons. Big shout out to both of them. Fucking delicious. Best barbecue. Also, Truths. I think it's called Truths Barbecue. It's supposed to be like the third best in all the state of Texas, but every time I go, it's so fucking packed. I'm like, I refuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I say the line is out the door, the line is fucking out there. Like it's like wrapped around the corner type shit. And so I'm like, damn. One of these days, I'm gonna have enough time where I'm willing to wait for that. But that day has not come in my life yet. So one day I'm gonna get it though. But this will be like the third best in all of Texas type shit, like state ranked. But anyway, so yeah, I go to Whataburger, right? It's late at night. I go trying to go get a Frito pie burger. It has been discontinued, and that was upsetting to me, Guile. So I go there and I'm like, oh, I told the lady in the fucking little microphone box, I was like, you're breaking my heart. And I was like, fuck it, just give me whatever. I forgot what the fuck I ordered. I ordered something. And then I ate it and I was like, they didn't put no love in this shit. I was like, this shit tastes like garbage. I was like, I immediately regretted it. You know what I mean?
See, you went there with your heart set on the Frito pie burger, so then anything else is just trash. Like you could have gone to fucking Fogo de Chao, and that would have been trash still because your heart was set on something else.
Yeah, my mind was already in a better place, and it was terrible. Happy Passover, by the way, man. Today's Passover and the full moon, apparently. I don't know what either of those things fucking mean, but it's on my calendar.
Well, the full moon I know because I have a friend that's a dispatcher, and fucking it just goes crazy with PD and fire department whenever there's a full moon. Like there's more calls and more obscure, weird ass calls on the full moon. And then Passover is just Passover or whatever.
I don't know Passover. Listen, so I'm gonna tell y'all something. I grew up in a multi-religious background, and each one was fighting the other. So I got one grandma, right, who's Catholic, and then I have another grandma who's a Jehovah's Witness. If y'all know anything about either of these religions, they are diehard in their beliefs. Then my father is agnostic, and my mom was like Pentecostal. So, son, these like four things are just all battling each other. I remember too, and I remember always thinking Catholicism was mean as fuck. Cause I remember one time my grandma was praying, son, and she's got her little Virgin or whatever, like the Virgin Mary, in her little basically oh, what's it fucking called, man? Like a yeah, like an altar.
It's an altar.
Yeah. So she's got this fucking altar set up, right? And she's praying, and we're kids, and we're running like around my grandma basically, and we're like cutting in front of her shit. And I remember she's just praying there, like with her rosary beads or whatever, doing Hail Marys, Ave Marias or whatever. And then I run in front of her one time, and she just whacks the shit out of me with that rosary, and just goes like flam, and then goes right back to praying, and I'm like, ah. And I was like, this is what Jesus felt. Now listen, hold on. When I said that, I'm like 7, so you know what I mean. But I was like, ah, I was like, this is how Jesus felt. It's terrible. I go to my Jehovah's to my dad's house where my Jehovah's Witness grandma is, and she used to take us to the Kingdom Hall on Sundays, right? So we go to Kingdom Hall, and I remember, bro, my grandma is such a mental terrorist. They have these things called the watchtowers that you have to fill out. They basically have questions in them that you have to read and answer in like a little story that they give. My grandma told us we're kids, right? Me and my siblings, we're children. She said, if y'all don't fucking answer, y'all don't eat. So y'all better raise y'all hands. And I'm like, what if we don't get like called on? You know what I'm saying? And she's like, you better raise your hand real high. So we're getting fucking starved out at church, bro. Like, god damn. So me and religion were not on the greatest terms when I was younger. And then I never found out what Passover was. I just know it's before Easter.
Pretty much, yeah. Just before Easter. Yeah, that is accurate. That is accurate. Uh, that's funny. Crap. Yeah, no, my fucking religious background was just Catholicism, but I fought it tooth and nail as a teenager, young adult, whatever. And then later, when I've had a bunch of like near death experiences, I decided, fuck it. I guess something's keeping me alive for some reason. After all these times that I've nearly died and should be dead by now, like I had more than 9 lives, more than a cat. So, anyways, so I decided to go to the College of Biblical Studies in Houston to become a pastor. But then I ran out of money, so then it was like, well, fuck it. I guess the Lord didn't want me to be a pastor because I don't have the money to eat and go to college. So I'm gonna go eat. So basically, yeah, I upload once a week.
Well, after some technical difficulty, guys.
Oh yeah, we're recording still. So the issue was, it wasn't that I decided, oh hey, today I'm gonna fuck it, I'm not gonna record or whatever. It was more that, so the reason I wasn't here 2 weeks ago that we didn't talk about last week is, so I was waiting on a new camera to arrive,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And it records in 6K. So unfortunately, I can't broadcast in 6K. So I can only you only see me in 1080p. You can only see me in the same thing. But if you go watch Sucias Are My Favorite or go to my YouTube, then you'll be able to see me in 4K. So the thing is, I record in 6K and I back up the original files to YouTube, or sorry, to Google Drive. And so the issue is, before 1080p video files were 3 or 4 gigabytes for like 20, 30 minutes. And 5 minutes, well, 7 minutes recorded in 6K is 432 gigabytes point something. So that's why we were having technical difficulties, because I was still uploading, not realizing I was still uploading, because normally it only takes me 6 hours to upload everything. And I had to pause my upload after 3 days, 4 hours, and 5 minutes of upload time. So I need to start, yeah, so I need to start
Jesus.
uploading probably sooner or after we record. That way everything goes all the way up. So anyways, that's the reason for the technical difficulties. Mm.
That's a lot. I forgot what we were talking about before. Then I'm gonna be honest.
Right. So we're talking about
So
Catholicism and all the other shit. Yeah. So yeah.
Catholicism. Catholicism.
So basically, I was just going to be a priest, and
By the way, I had to look up Passover. Yeah, I looked up Passover. Passover, or Pesach in Hebrew, is one of the Jewish religion's most sacred and widely observed holidays. Shalom. In Judaism, Passover commemorates the story of the Israelites' departure from ancient Egypt. So there we go. That's what Passover signifies. It's when they left Egypt. It's when they told the Pharaoh, "Fuck you, bud." But you know, they thought Passover was a nicer name. It wasn't Egypt fuck off day. It was Passover.
it's a twofer. So it's actually the Passover whenever they would paint the entryway or the doorway of their home with blood of a lamb, firstborn lamb, so that way the angel of death wouldn't come and kill their firstborn. And so some Jews or Hebrews lost their firstborn children because whatever, God's not going to take care of us. But it totally took out all of the pharaohs, or all of the Egyptian firstborns, took care of all of their kids or all of their firstborns, including Pharaoh's firstborn son. And then that's why Pharaoh's like, well, fuck you, get the fuck out of here. And then he had a change of heart. You know what? Fuck that. I'm going to kill them all. But he couldn't catch them. But then they were stuck in the wilderness for 40 years because they didn't trust in their God to provide for them. So anyways.
For those that think I don't know shit, I was actually in Bible study for 16 years, and guy was gonna be a fucking pastor. So, ha ha! In case y'all don't think we know what we're talking about here, because now that you mention it, I do remember that story. Because it's like they passed over every house that had the blood of a lamb etched along the whatever the molding of the door. Yeah, and if they had that, which all the Israelites had, and none of the Egyptians had, and it killed all their firstborn children. And then you had the locusts and the frogs and all that good shit. All the whatnot. I remember I was watching something like. Do you remember that old? Oh god, I almost said Mel Gibson. It's not Mel Gibson. Mel something. What's that comedian's name? Jewish guy.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. Do you remember that History of the World Part One? Oh my god, that shit was so fucking hilarious. I remember that where he was like, God gave him he's like God gave him 15 commandments, and he's like on 3 tablets, and he's like, hey guys, God gave me 15, and he trips over his robe and one of the tablets falls, and he's like, he gave me 10 commandments. It's like, I don't know, I just always thought that shit was so funny. Like I remember seeing that shit as a kid, and I thought it was great, and then I found it on Hulu the other day and rewatched it, and I was like, this is still so funny and so dumb. It's great. Just remembering the nonsensical part of the Bible. I don't want to say nonsensical. That sounds
Making fun of or parroting, yeah. Well, speaking of commandments, it's funny because one thing that kind of stands out. So, going to be a pastor, instead of learning the Bible you can learn the Bible in various ways. Most common is like the King James Version or the translations from the King James Version. But in the translation, some things got lost or misinterpreted or whatever over time, particularly the commandments. So we have that commandment, thou shalt not kill. And in English, we take it that way, literally, oh, thou shalt not kill. But from the Hebrew, and I don't remember the words, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but there's, just like in English, we have kill and murder. Hebrew, the commandment is thou shalt not murder, not thou shalt not kill. So you can kill in self-defense, you can kill animals to eat them, but you can't murder someone, or it's a sin to murder someone. And so if we were supposed to follow the rules of the law or the letter of the law, that means we would all be vegetarian because we wouldn't be allowed to kill animals to eat.
yeah. That's also like, did you hear like in the King James version stuff like that? Sorry, we're going so biblical, guys. We'll get off this in a second. But did you hear that like in the King James version? Did you hear that like King James was like gay, like he liked having sex with men, and the Bible said that it was like not good. So then he was like, I want to write the King James version, and apparently, I haven't read the King James version because that's not the version that I got like when I was in prison. So the version I read is because technically, they ask you your religion when you first get there, and so I just picked Jehovah's Witness. So they have a different Bible. Anyway, somebody told me in the King James version it doesn't say that homosexuality is a sin because King James was gay, and so when that version was written, he had that part taken out because he didn't want his priest to judge him or some shit like that. Like I said, I've never looked it up. This is a rumor I heard on the internet, and we all know how true the fucking internet is, right?
So as a biblical scholar, that I have not heard. I do know that the King James versions took there's schools of thoughts whether they took liberties or whether they just omitted things on purpose. There's no way to prove what the purpose was because there's no like notes or like anyone that can show a diary or anything that says, oh hey, King James told me to take this out. Like that's probably made up. But what you're probably referring to is the man laying with man and the abomination. And it's not really man with man; it's more man with child or adults with children. Um, and this is going to go on a big ass tangent too, because with pedophilia, we in modern society see anything under the age of 18 as pedophilia. Some countries vary their age of consent between 16 and 18, but for most of the Western world, or most of the industrialized world, sorry, um, imagine any place that has internet, that usually is a place that the age of consent is between 16 and 18. There are a few countries that are 12, 12 to 16, but there's very few. And then, of course, there's others that just don't have any age of consent. It's assumed that you're not going to be able to have sex until you get married. But because there's that loophole in the law, then, pedos can go do that. But technically, when we're talking about sexual predators, not pedophiles, because pedophiles just have the interest. They're not the ones that actually perpetrate it. Going back to the point of manling with children, in the Hebrew tradition, a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah, bar for boy, bat for girls, is at the age of 13, it's a coming of age. So the way Mexicans or Latinos have quinceañeras, and the way most uh, Americans, or not Americans, but in old aristocratic culture, a sweet 16 or a debutante ball is when a girl or woman is being presented as a woman to the world to be able to be courted and get married, which at 16, 15 years old. And with the bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah, in the Hebrew tradition, you are now a man. The verbiage and wording of the celebration is that you're celebrating now being a man, considering that for the most part, by 13, you've already gone through or started puberty. And so then that was a mark that you are now an adult. You're a grown ass man in Hebrew or Jewish theology. So that was kind of like the bar for pedophilia back then. And one of JC's verses, which now I can't remember, but is essentially, woe unto them whoever harms these children or takes them away from me. Essentially, that if you hurt a child, it's better for you to kill yourself and go to hell than to put up with my wrath. So it kind of reemphasizes the Old Testament of, who was it? Was it Abraham or Israel? But one of his sons laid with him, and they called it the abomination because it was his children, and some of his children were underage that were taking advantage of him and sleeping with him. And so that's the whole issue. But it got perverted or changed because of translation and whatnot over time, that they call it that, oh, homosexuality is the abomination. Well, technically, yes, it was male and male, but they're more focused, at least if you read the old Hebrew and ancient Greek text, we're talking, or Syrian Aramaic, Hebrew, and all the other older Testament languages. We're talking about essentially that it's against the Abrahamic God's law to sleep with a child under 13. If you're interpreting or extrapolating from all the information you get. And by Abrahamic God, I mean the God of the Jews, the Christians, and the Muslims. Believe it or not, it's the same God that we all believe in. It's just most people think they're different gods, or we see it as a different God because it's Yahweh, God, and Allah. But it's still kind of the same family.
Yeah, it's basically the same. Yeah, because I studied a lot of like religion when I was in prison and stuff like that. Because it's so sick. When I went to jail, I had to put down Jehovah's Witness, and when I went to prison, they're like, uh, if you don't have your religion down, you can go to all religious services. So I used to go to the Buddhist temple. I used to go to if you're Nordic, you get a service. So I went to like the Nordic thing. I used to learn about like the Nordic gods. Uh, used to go to the Catholic mass. Used to go to church for Christianity. Went to went to the synagogue once. Went to the Islamic service. Like I went to all of them. You know what I'm saying? Because I just kind of like wanted to learn. And like I said, you just kind of learn eventually. You know that they all kind of teach the same thing. Don't be a piece of shit. Be a nice person. But that's just like with the thing with Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Because I was having this conversation with somebody one time because they were like, "Oh, it tells you right there that gay sex is an abomination." Because look at what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. And I was like, "Well, technically, it said that sodomy was wrong. It never said that it was between a man and a man. It just talks about sodomy, period. Because women were supposed to be used for procreation, not recreation. So if you're, sodomizing her, she can't procreate like that. So you know what I mean, shit like that. But it's like small little intricacies and whatnot that gets lost. But just going from like a historical reference, like the Greeks believed the same thing. They were like, um, hey, women are for procreation, and they're like, and if you just want to have like sex for fun, they're like, that's why we got these boys here, and they would just like fuck other men, like their little like wine boys and shit like that. They would fuck them all the time, and they were like cool with it because then when the wine boy became of age, he would fuck his wine boys. It would just kind of be like, oh, because they were like of a society that knew men had needs, and they're like, and the women are for procreating, so I can't just be fucking my wife, getting her pregnant all the time because I just can't take care of her. So instead, I'm gonna fuck my cupbearer and my little wine boy, and then that'll be fine there. But enough biblical references of sodomy and whatnot. Man, we celebrated Passover. I think the best way. I don't see how it gets better.
Right?
I don't. I don't think anybody could have did a better job. If I'm being real about it, I dare other podcasts to try. So yeah, man. Also, big shout out. I was just hanging out with TJ on Sunday. It was his birthday. The former other host of Block Talk, man. If y'all check out season 1, he was my co-host when you saw before we had all our production value. It got better. It was me and him putting up a phone on a picnic table at my mom's house and just recording like that. And it was great. It was great. I had a blast. But I saw him Sunday. Shout out to his brothers, Jerry, Eddie, Dot Dollar, free Dot Dollar. Everybody that was there. It was a great fucking time. Rented a party bus, son. Got fuck. By the way, if you're from my job, turn the podcast off now. Get out of here. Fuck out of here. This is all alleged and this is all fake news. But by the time you hear this, it'll be 3 weeks out, so I'll be clean. Anyway, so I go over there, right? And we get shit faced. I mean, shit faced, son. Like, straight up fucked up. And we go on this party bus. And my homeboy, Dupree, this is somebody that me and TJ were locked up with. Brother just got out by the time this comes out, I think like a month ago. So he's been out for like a month or whatever the fuck. And we're just hanging out, having a fucking blast and shit like that, man. And Dupree is late as fuck. So the bus is supposed to leave at 7, right? And we're supposed to go. And by the way, I love Tommy's mom. Big shout out to TJ's mama. But this was not specified in the invitation. I was told, oh, it's a party bus. I'm like, cool. I'm going to dress like I'm going to a club because that's where a party bus obviously goes to. We get there. I'm like, so where's this party bus going to? They're like, Dave and Buster's. I'm like, I'm not set up for that. You know what I'm saying?
You're overdressed.
Because like, well, it's not only that. So look, so TJ brought, you know what I'm saying, his special somebody, and his brother brought his wife, and you know what I'm saying, like people got dates and shit. I show up, I'm like, why am I gonna take Sam to a beach? Fuck, I look like, you know what I mean? I'm like, we finna go out, have a good time. So I didn't invite no lady friend. So then I show up, I'm like, oh no, you know. And then sure enough, and it was funny because when Dupree showed up, his girl was dressed up, and she looked great. You know, big shout out to both of them. They both looked incredible. But they thought the same thing I thought. They're like, oh, we're going to a club. So she dressed up, you know what I'm saying, in stilettos and shit, and like this like see-through dress and whatnot. And then he's, dressed to the nines too, like we finna go to a club. So I'm like, we made terrible decisions, guys. Like us three really fucked up here. But it was a great time though. It was a blast. Dupree showed up over an hour late. So the bus driver was like, hey, ain't no point in us stopping at Dave and Buster's. So we could just drive around the city while y'all keep drinking. I'm like, pour that shit up. So he was just driving around and we kept drinking and allegedly maybe having a little toke of the devil's lettuce. Go buy it what you will. I don't even know what that is. I heard that's the name of a cigar. But it was a fucking blast, man. And it made me...
That just gave me an idea to start a cigar company called the Devil's Lettuce. Or Devil's Tobacco or something, right?
Right? That'd be great.
Anyways.
Yeah. The Wacky Tobacco. The Wacky Tobacco cigars. That'd be great. And they're made for rolling. See, I didn't know this, right, by the way. In Texas, so like, whenever we roll blunts and shit like that, we use like Swisher Sweets, White Owl, stuff like that. They're like little cigars, bro. And I remember when I went to New York, they use like big ass like cigar. They roll up like fucking fatties. I'm like, yo. I'm like, that seems kind of like a waste. Because I'm like, 2-3 tokes out of like a small blunt. I'm hiding a bitch. I'm like, son, I don't need that fat motherfucker. I don't need this hog leg over here that's going to just get me all the way to turn the fuck up.
No, that's why I prefer edibles. And I'm in Nevada, so THC is legal here, so I can say and do as much as I want. I may or may not ship pounds.
Yeah, we were in Nevada for
Texas.
TJ's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were in Nevada for TJ's birthday.
Yeah, that's where y'all were.
Yeah, it was all legal what we were doing on that bus.
On West Side.
Yeah, we were in Nevada, heading to California. So stayed in 2 legal states.
Oh man,
just right there. We just stayed right in there. I like how it took you a second to be like, "What? You were in Nevada?" Like, oh shit.
Oh.
No, but it was a fucking blast. I loved it. It was great. It was great to see my boy, man. We hadn't hung out in a minute. Because like his work schedule and my work schedule are so fucked where like we have the tiniest window where we're both awake, and like so like it's crazy. He literally goes into work when I'm going to bed. and then he's getting off when I've been into my shift like 2 hours. So then when I get off, you know what I'm saying, he's dead asleep type shit. So it's like, yeah, we were actually discussing it because I was like, man, we got to hang out again. And then we're comparing schedules. There's literally only a 30-minute time window where we're both fucking awake, where we can hang out. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do shit for 30 minutes with you. You know what I mean? That's drive time,
and
dog.
that's like
Like
on
the
the way to
fuck.
his work or on the way to your work, right?
That's like, so no, he would be leaving work. I'd be at my house, but he works at, for those of y'all that know, like the Houstonish area. He's like closer to like 610 area, son. Like down by there, right, closer to downtown. Whereas, and I stay on the north side. Like I'm like if you're heading towards Conroe, so it's a good like 35-minute drive. So you know what I mean? It's like already
Y'all could
like
probably meet at
that's why
Guns
I said
Point.
that's drive time. We're fucked.
Yeah, Guns Point.
Yes, that's what we
Yeah.
would have to do. See, we did that one time. He was getting, I think I was off for the day, or like I left early or some shit. Like I went to work, and then it turns out that like all the fucking trucks were broken. So then me and him just met up at IHOP in Greenspoint and just had breakfast because we just both happened to be awake. He was getting off work, and then like I said, I was leaving my job because all the trucks broke. So they were like, "Go home for the day," and I was like, "Cool." I went, and then I was like, I called him. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just leaving work." I'm like, "Fuck it, let's go to IHOP." And he was like, "Why not? I'm down for some pancakes." So we went and got some pancakes at IHOP. It was great. But it's always great to see my boy, man. And then fucking, we were just shooting the shit, talking cash money shit. Like, just like goofing around. Cause like, okay, let me think of how to word this. Cause I don't know if it's special somebody listens to this. And I don't need her getting mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Because me and Jerry, this Tommy's older brother, we just talking cash money shit. And it's so funny too. Me and Jerry was just talking. Anytime something happened, he's like, "Boy, I can't wait to hear about that shit on the podcast." But I was so fucked up. I don't remember anything, dog. Like, I don't remember any of the references he was making to I man. I can't wait to hear that shit on the podcast. So my bad, Jerry. I fucked up. But I remember the funniest thing was uh Dollar's girl. She knew a stripper. And so we're fucked up, right? And we're like, oh, we're just gonna be driving around the city now. Once the bus driver told us, oh, we're just gonna be driving around. So I was like, damn, man, if we're gonna be driving around, they got these stripper poles on the party bus. They got two stripper poles. So I'm fucking with TJ. I'm like, damn, son, it sounds like we're getting a stripper. And so the girl perked up, Mushroom. Her name was Mushroom. So don't ask me why. Didn't ask. I didn't ask her to expand. You know what I mean? I was like, listen, I don't. You know, not everybody has to ask me about Boogie. I'm not gonna ask about Mushroom. We're just gonna move on with it. So she's like, Mushroom was like, oh man, my homegirl's a stripper. She's trying to make some money tonight anyway. Fuck it, it's a Sunday. She ain't at the club tonight, and like she's like a legit stripper. And I was like, uh, TJ, it sounds like we stopping at the ATM and we getting a stripper. Like that's what it sounded like to me. And his girl shooting like daggers in the side of his face. And I'm like, you know, and I'm fucking with him. So I'm like, hey TJ, we get a stripper? We get a stripper? And then he's just standing there like, and I was like, come on, Mariah, we getting a stripper, right? Like, you know, saying his girl, or whatever. I'm like, we getting a stripper, right? And she's like, that's his decision. It's his birthday. I don't control him. But you know, she said it in that way, like she do control him.
We know TJ. We know what's going
I'm
on with
fucking with you,
TJ.
TJ. I love you, boy. I love you, boy. But that shit was just great. So it's just me egging him on, trying to get him in trouble because I keep saying just like fucked up shit to get his girl mad on purpose. And then I remember, I remember we played this. He downloaded this fucking app on his phone, right? And it's this drinking game. So it would ask a question, and then whoever did it had to like drink. And as the game was progressing, we started kind of noticing it's like for felons and like certain shit like that. And I was like, bro, I was like, why does it feel like this game is made to get us fucked up? And he's like, man, I'm skipping all these bullshit questions. He's like, look at this question. Whoever has blue eyes, drink. And I'm like, bro, that's like supposed to give us a break, you asshole. Like the fuck? Because he's just asking questions back to back to back that knows that we got to take a shot. This is like a shot game. So man, we ended up taking like fucking 12 shots. Anyway, I ended up getting alcohol poisoning and I didn't go to fucking work on Monday. I ended up like vomiting aggressively where I could not go to work. Like it was bad. I woke up for work and I'm just like, oh God, I'm dying. I called my job and I was like, I can't go to work. I'm having tum issues. Like I didn't tell them what happened.
Well, you didn't lie because I
But
mean there are
I'm
tum
having
issues,
tum
but
issues.
you didn't say you caused them yourself.
Yeah, I'm like, man, my shit fucked up. Yeah, no, I didn't say it was through self poisoning, but I was like, man, my shit fucked up, yo. And then we got back, and then so this is a weird night, man. I don't know why. I was getting a weird shit with whenever it comes to Tommy, but we get back, and then we're like, hey, let's go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, night's still young or whatever, blah blah blah. And then he's like, yeah, no, for sure. That all I got to do is change a tire. I said, you got to change a tire? The fuck? So then his girl's like, yeah, he popped the tire when we were leaving the apartment complex, and he just drove it all the way here flat. I'm like, the fuck? Like, why would you not say that when we pulled up? Because we pulled up, it was still daytime. I'm like, why did you wait till it's like 10:30 at night? Can't fucking see. It's dark as shit out here by your mom's house. So we just changed the tire in the fucking dark. And then I found out Tommy never changed the tire. I was like, why you, like, the fuck? Like, turns out he never changed the tire, son. So then me and one of the other guys, thank God the other guy had like an actual like ratchet set and shit like that. So, because I had like a, wheel locks and shit like that or whatever in my fucking truck. But luckily he had like a full set. So we changed the tire over there, jacked it all up or whatever. Got it all done, man. And that's how I spent TJ's birthday, was getting drunk on a party bus, getting alcohol poisoning, getting him in trouble with his girl, and then changing the tire. Great night. Great night.
Sounds like a great
Always.
Sunday night.
Oh yeah, man. It was so packed, son. That Saturday was so packed. I had a crawfish bowl with my dad on Friday. Saturday, I took my dad to an Astros game for his birthday. Right? Had birthday to my dad. Took him to an Astros game. Uh, because we wanted to save money. And so my brother just went to the dentist, right? He got like some mouth work done, so he couldn't drink. So to save money, my dad bought an 18 pack. And while my brother's driving us to this lot so we can take the metro rail downtown, me and my dad are just hammering drinks, right? And I'm talking about like hammering these hoes. Cause I didn't realize how many. So he brought like this bag full of beers. And I didn't know how many beers he packed in there. Turns out he brought 12. Didn't know that. So I'm just hammering these hoes because he's like, we got to throw these beers away before we get into the game. So I ended up slamming like 5 beers and my dad slammed 7. So I'm drunk as a fucking skunk going to this goddamn game. And we get drunk as shit, go inside the Astros game, watch the game, do that with my dad. Great fucking time. Leave the game, go see my god kids, right? By the way, became a godfather. That was crazy. Also, same weekend, became a godfather. So go see my god kids. Okay, and it was funny. I had this conversation with my brother and my dad because I told him, I said, "Hey guys, great news! I just became a godfather." And they're like, you can't be a godfather. I was like, sure I can, man. So then my dad's like, you can't be a godfather because you're not Catholic. I'm like, you're a godfather. You're not fucking Catholic. He's like, it's different. I was like, gay. Yeah, my dad's an asshole. I love him, but he's crazy. And then my brother was like, you know what the original responsibility of a godfather is? And I'm like, yeah, man, in case they fucking just kick the bucket, I'm there. And he's like, no, the original responsibility of a godfather is you're supposed to teach this kid about God and you're in charge of his religious upbringing to make sure that he eventually comes to heaven. And I was like, I'll bless him with the good word of the Lord, Alex. Come on now, son. You know what I'm saying? I can teach him some shit. Hey, but I'm still buzzed while I'm saying this shit. So I'm like, yeah, they'll be fine. Anyway, go see my god kids, hang out with them for a little bit. After that, go fucking bowling with my parents. Didn't know they sell towers at bowling alleys, by the way. So get drunk again at this fucking bowling alley. Go out dancing after that, and then go home and sleep all fucking day on Sunday to then go to TJ's party. So what? Just long ass weekend, son. Starting from Friday. So starting from Friday at 5:30 when I went to a crawfish boil with my dad for his birthday also because my dad loves crawfish. Me and my dad, so went to a crawfish boil starting Friday afternoon till Sunday at fucking. I got home at midnight. Sunday at midnight. So really Monday. So from Friday afternoon to Monday, just steady drinking and just staying up way past my bedtime every day because I worked on Saturday too, so it was a shit show, guy. But what about your weekend though, man?
I'm an old man. My weekends are not exciting. It's more like playing with computers, building things, rearranging stuff, shopping, errands. Like I quit drinking. Like I'm too old for that. Hangovers, they hurt too long. Like the cost to benefit ratio. Like I'm hungover a lot longer than I'm drunk, so it's not worth it for me. So yeah, actually, no, I did a woodwork. I did a woodworking project this weekend, um, and then refurbished, reconstructed, Basically, I found an old fan. Um, here we go. One one of these old fans. Took it all apart, put it back together, and now it's working again.
I think that's
So yeah,
refurbished, right?
that kind of
Like
shit.
refurbished when you put
I
new
think
parts
so.
into
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But I didn't put anything new on it. Just cleaned it up basically and put some grease on it. That was it. So yeah, I'm pretty lame, boring.
And listen, you say lame. I say that was a great weekend. I wish more weekends were listen, it was funny. I was having this conversation with my sister where I was like, man, April is just a fucked up month for me. Where there's so much shit going on, like literally just bang, 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 bang. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh man, my cousin's birthday's on the 2nd, my grandma's birthday's on the 3rd, my dad's birthday's on the 4th, my friend's birthday's on the 11th, my cousin's birthday is on the 23rd, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? And then there's, fucking Easter's in there too. Throw that shit in there. TJ's birthday's on the fucking, 2nd also, so throw that bitch in there. And it's like, it's just all this fucking shit, just bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, April sucks for me as far as like shit to do.
It is. That's a long list of things to do, especially when you have to like be there for family. That's the one reason I'm glad I'm an only child because I don't have to buy anybody else presents. But then nobody buys me presents, so whatever. But I just buy it for myself now.
I'm gonna be honest. I have a problem. Not necessarily a problem because I mean I do like doing it, but like I try to do things with my family. You know what I'm saying? Like so for my dad, like I said, uh, taking him to an Astros games because I know he loves the Astros because they're basically the only winning team in fucking Houston right now. So well, I mean Dynamo's doing okay this year, but they'll blow it in the fucking ninth. And Astros are doing okay. We beat the Tigers today, 8-2. So that puts us at 3-4. Yeah, so technically, actually, we're losers right now, 3-4. But last year we were 7-9, and we turned it around, so we'll be okay. So but they're the last good team here in Houston or whatever. So wanted to do that. Like for my sister, for her birthday last year, I got her a record player and like a Beyonce album and a Prince album because she's been telling me forever. Somebody got her a Mac Miller album, and she's like, "But I don't have a record player." So I got her a record player for her birthday, and so, and then like for Christmas I got her more records and some other shit. I don't remember what else I got her. For my brother, I got him a because he likes One Piece. I got him a One Piece pocket watch and some other shit. My brother last year I got him some AirPods. And funny story actually about that. So Boogie's a piece of shit, guys. I just want to let y'all know that. Just want to preempt this story, starting off there. So look, I'm walking in a parking garage right in Austin, just leaving my sister's spot. I'm walking in a parking garage. Find these AirPods on the floor, right? Like the case. And I'm like, oh shit, hit a lick. I pick up the AirPod case, it's empty. I'm like, oh. And then I look back down, and then there go the two earbuds. I'm like, hooray! So I put them in the thing, and then I put them in my pocket. And I'm like, hell yeah. My brother just got a Christmas present, my brother Danny. So I'm like, fuck yeah. So I take them back to him, and then I give them to him. I'm like, there you go, man. Happy birthday, big dog. And he's like, you got me fucking AirPods? And I was like, because I love you, boy. And he's like, damn, that's real as fuck, yo. And you know what I'm saying? And I told my sister what happened, and she never told him. Well, listen, these people from Austin drove down here to Houston because, they got the location unless you reset them. This fucking idiot never reset them. So they were able to track these fucking headphones to my mom's house, knock on the door like, hey, are my headphones here? So then my other brother made up a story like, oh yeah, man, his drug dealer sold him those, and he just told him that they were used. We didn't know. My bad. So people took the AirPods back. I felt so bad because right then my brother texts me, and he's like, hey, those people came to pick up those AirPods. Thanks a lot for the birthday gift. And I was like, ooh, I'm an ass. I'm like, first off, what a sad ass text. I'm like, what a bitch. First, secondly, I felt bad, so I actually bought him AirPods. So technically, I did buy him AirPods for his birthday, but only after it came back to bite me in the ass, guy.
Oh man, that's That's not as bad as me. Like me, I was buying those cheap knockoff AirPods from Alibaba. So I'd get them, kind of like Wish 3 months later, but they only cost me like $40. And then I'd take those, I'd go buy a pair of AirPods from Walmart. And then 2, 3 days later, for some reason they're defective and take them back. And, so maybe you can do the math on that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's I don't see nothing wrong with that. I'm a scum. I'm a scumbag. It's okay. Just I get down. I didn't even give a fuck. I remember one time, man, and this is like when I was down bad, so don't judge Boogie too bad. But I remember like I was 17 years old, right? And I needed some shit from Walmart, and I didn't want to pay for anything. So I remember this very distinctly because I remember the reaction I got. So I put a knife in my pocket, right? And I didn't have like a pocket knife. So the only knife I could find for some reason was like a big ass chef's knife. So I put this big ass chef's knife in my pocket to cut open like packages and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I go to Walmart. I'm cutting open packages, putting shit in my pocket. Secret shopper catches my dumb ass. I get caught. He's like, empty your pockets. So I empty my pockets or whatever, and he sees all that shit. He's like, yeah, you're just gonna steal all that stuff. He's like, what about your other pocket? And then I pull out this goddamn machete basically out my fucking pocket. And so he sees me pulling that thing out my pocket. He's like, whoa! He's like, put that fucking thing back in your pocket. He's like, pick your hands up, pick your hands up. And so I like pick my hands up or whatever. He's like, turn the fuck around. And I turn around or whatever. And then he reaches in my pocket and like pulls the fucking knife out. He's like, Jesus, man. He's like, what the fuck were you doing with this? And he's like, he's like, fucking Michael Myers came inside this Walmart today. And I was like, you know what? I was like, if I would have known I'd have got this reaction from him, when he tried to stop me, I should just pull this bitch out. Like, hey, watch out, son. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't come just to steal. I came to steal souls also. Get out of my fucking face.
Oh, man. that is That is fucking. That's crazy, crazy and funny. But yeah,
Oh yeah, I just do dumb shit. Like, cause I don't have to think about the consequences. You know, I don't think about the repercussions of my actions, guy. You know what I'm saying? Like a regular person. So I just do a lot of dumb shit, and I'm like, I'll do the consequences later. You know?
or not. If you don't get caught, why worry about it?
Nah, I mean that's also a fact. But oh man, I remember one time, dude. This is terrible. This is now just book telling terrible stories. So I remember right, and you know, statute of limitations and whatnot. This is super old. I'm young as fuck. And I remember I had this. Now, guy, listen, don't judge me too harshly. This is when Boogie was still a simp. I had a gold digging girlfriend that loved spending way more money than I was making. So I had a job at Skechers, right? And I remember I was like making decent money. I'm not making like buku bucks or whatever, but I'm doing okay. You know what I'm saying? For at the time, I mean, I'm 19 years old. You know what I'm saying? I'm on probation or whatever. You know, kid working at Skechers, making a little bit of money. And I remember she's like, "Hey, I want to go do this tonight. It costs like $100." And I'm like, "I got that, girl. Don't even worry." I crack my wallet open, moths come out naturally. So I'm like, "Fuck, I need money." Well, I'm working the register that day, right? Well, I'm still in training technically, so this other guy has to put his number in for me to be able to use the register. So when he puts his number in, and like so people didn't know this, right? But I knew this because I worked there. The cameras behind the register don't fucking work. So when that dude comes, he puts his fucking number. I just pocket a quick hundo down into my pocket. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, when they're doing the register and they're doing the tally, they're like, guys, something's not fucking right. They're like, we're missing $100 from this register. And I'm like, that's crazy. And so they're looking at the receipts or whatever the fuck, and they're like, I bet you this is it right here. They're like, these three shoes were rung up. They're like, who the fuck would buy three of this same shoe? And they're like, that doesn't make sense. They're like, I bet you they bought two of them, and we accidentally rung up an extra. And then that right there is $65. And they're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to justify how this $100 is missing. And so that didn't only happen one time, guy. That happened like 4 times. And then finally they started looking at who's putting the number in the register, and it's always that guy. And he ended up getting fucking fired because they're like, there's no way that there keeps being these errors. And he's not even thinking about it because he's trying to defend himself. Where he's like, I would never do that. He's not even thinking like, wait, I'm putting my number in for Boogie. Like that's not even a thought to him, son. So he got fucking fired because and see, guys, this is why I tell you, man, you can't be sips. because through through osmosis, I got a man fired from simping, Gaio. Through osmosis.
Oh man, speaking of dirt bags, Jesus. So I used to sell gym memberships at 24 Hour Fitness. So we would be able to do payment plans, like, and we were the only location that could do it because we were essentially in the ghetto, but our zip code was a nice zip code. So it was just very weird, our location. We weren't allowed to, like, our store was exempt from competitions of like whoever sells the most is going to get like a weekend cruise down in Galveston or whatever. Like anything like that, we could not compete for because we always won. We were always the top sellers, but it's because we knew how to scam the fucking system. And the only thing I remember is if so some people would like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a payment plan, this, that, and the other, and they'll put $100 down on a $500 package, and then of course they wouldn't have the money in their bank account to be able to do their monthly payments, and then just kind of like, oh, come in for free or come in with their package plan, whatever, for a couple of weeks. And then when the fourth week came around, they just dip out and not pay because, oh, if I don't have enough money in the bank, then they can't take this money out. But if we didn't get that money paid, then we wouldn't get our bonuses and we wouldn't get our paycheck because our paycheck was basically commission against the hours we worked. So if we work, the less hours we worked and the more commission we made, the bigger our paychecks were. And it's like nobody's fucking with my money. Back then, Guile gave no fucks. So what you could do is run a transaction for 1 penny, because if it failed on the $129 or whatever it was, you could run it for a penny, and 99% of the time that penny transaction will go through. Then what we would do is use that transaction ID number and force it to rerun it again with that transaction ID number with the remainder for $123.99. So you get that full 124 or whatever the price was. So basically subtract that penny from whatever they owed us and ran it, and we got paid. So corporate never could figure out how we never had anybody not pay their package or whatever it is they bought. And so we were just running these through, and everybody got paid in that fucking store. But allegedly.
It's all allegedly, folks. These stories are actually made up. We actually wrote these down before we came on here. So this is not real scumbaggery. This is made up scumbaggery. This is a figment of your imagination. You know what I'm saying? It's what does Matthew McConaughey say inside of fucking Wolf of Wall Street? It's fairy dust. It's fucking bullshit. Oh yeah, man. So that shit's fucking great, dude. Yeah, man, scumbaggery runs deep though. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like just when you're young, all the scumbag shit that you do that you just like justify in your head. But like later on, you're like, damn, did I really kind of need to do that? And then you're like, yeah. Like I said, because listen, I would be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, do I sit here and feel bad for some of the shit I did? No. But this is why, though, right? Because I remember I was having a conversation with somebody and I told them this. Because they're like, do you ever feel bad about any of the scumbag shit you did? And I'm like, well, no. Because, like, if I didn't do that shit, I won't be who I am today. You know what I'm saying? And plus, when I was growing up, it was, like, different. Especially like when I was running the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because there's certain scumbag shit that I had to do that is, like, for survival. You know what I mean? Or it's like, if I don't get up on the next person, they gonna get up on me. And it's, I ain't gonna get got. So it's kind of just like a crazy sort of thing where I don't feel bad for it at all. And they just said that I was kind of like a sociopath for that because they're like, you have no empathy. And I was like, I can empathize with fucking people. I'm just saying, like, what's the point of me sitting here being like, oh, what was me? I was a terrible person. I need to like give myself 40 lashes and crawl through the dirt, butt naked and shit, dragging my butt cheeks all over the ground. Like, nah, man, I'm not gonna do that shit. It'd be all right. It happened. Listen, it's fine. I'm sure that guy landed on his feet. I'm sure he found another job. You know what I mean? I'm sure that 24-hour fitness was fucking fine after Gaio left. You know what I mean? Shit happens, man. They'll be all right. They'll get over it. I especially don't feel bad for the big ass corporations. I don't feel bad at all for 24-hour fitness. Fuck them. I don't feel bad for Skechers either. Fuck you. What are you gonna do? Fire me again? That location closed down, by the way. So, haha, I outlasted them.
Oh man, fuck. Did we have a point for this episode? I mean, I know we have a list of things, but were we going to go anywhere with this week?
Man, I figured. Listen, we've literally spent 50 minutes of this. I'm not gonna spend the last 10 minutes getting into some serious shit, guy. I, no, with all the other shit. Could you imagine that we make the title like something super serious? Like let's just hypothetically, right? Let's just say 10 Commandments of Dating, and then people listen to this whole fucking episode, and then the last 10 minutes is that. It's like what the fuck, man? It's like why would you name this that? The next episode will have some value. Like I said, every now and again, some of these episodes are just for us. You know what I mean, guys? So just let it roll, big dog. Let it fucking roll, man. Which speaking of which, by the way, since we do only have like 10 minutes left, I finally saw John Wick, man. It was great. It was great. I got to see John Wick like I wanted to. Went to the movie theaters. Uh, Not next week, but the week after that. I'm gonna go see that new Dungeons and Dragons movie because I'm a fucking nerd. All right, like it's always crazy. I tell people this shit all the time because I told somebody I was like, "Man, I'm gonna go see that Dungeons and Dragons movie," and they're like, "You like Dungeons and Dragons?" I'm like, "Bitch, in prison I was a dungeon master. Fuck wrong with you? Like you better put some respect on my shit, ho. You know what I mean? Send the horde of goblins your way. Fucking with me like that."
Oh man, funny because I also DM, but I haven't done it in a while. It's mostly because every time I can get a group together, it's never consistent for them to keep coming. So we'll start something and stop, start and stop. So then what I end up doing is just doing one shots and inviting people to randomly come over and then be like, so hey, I'll send a text to like 20 people and four show up or three show up or whatever. And so I just do random one shots. But then they kind of became popular because the one shots I would make would be um, so the enemy in one that sticks out was Ross Bob, which was Bob Ross but with the R&B swapped, and it was basically a chia pet like monster that was the BBEG at the end of the one shot, and I just homebrew it because some people don't really know the rules. They don't know about how to build their character development, a lot of crosstalk, a lot of whatever. So I just kind of keep it homebrew and kind of like, okay, this is you got to take turns, you got to roll, and essentially to be able to play or fight or whatever you want to do. And my brother is a fucking murder hobo. Like he just wants to just murder everything. If unless they're an orc, because he always plays a half orc barbarian, and unless they're an orc, he'll just try to go murder them. So if they're an orc, then he'll like try to talk to them. Or goblins, he'll try to use orcish. But his dumb ass, he goes, "Hey, yo, what's up?" Instead of Anyways, it's just funny that we both have another similar background thing.
Yeah, he doesn't like get into the language of it. I'm not gonna lie. Funny
No.
story about how I became DM because I was also an asshole when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons. So they're like, hey guys, we're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm like, damn, that sounds cool as fuck, yo. I was like, can I join? And they're like, yeah. So you create your character or whatever, and I make a dwarf. All right, I make a nice sturdy dwarf with a kick ass battle axe. All right, bam. The dwarf's name is also Boogie, by the way. So we're there, right, and we're in this fucking town, and we're there, and I'm just an asshole, man. God, do you remember that like that Key and Peele sketch where that dude's like, "Oh, I want to go get some bitches" or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like we making fun of like D&D. I actually did something similar to that when I was in prison. So before they made this sketch, Boogie was doing this shit in the penitentiary. But it's just that I got so lucky; it was hilarious. So in prison, you can't have dice because they're afraid you're gonna make shoot craps or whatever the fuck. So my homeboy with like kind of arts and craftsy thing or whatever, we made a spinner, and so we made it to where it was like different circles. So the innermost one was like 3-sided die, 4-sided die, and it goes all the way out to 20. So we made a creative little spinner like that. So that way, no matter what die you have to roll, it's all on the same little spinner board. So fun as fuck. We do it. I make this dwarf. We're in this town. Negotiations are going terribly. We're supposed to try to get this information from this dude, and then the DM says something where he's like, "You hear no noise by the door." I freak out, so I was like, I throw my axe at the door, and he's like, "Spin." So because he's not gonna try to stop you. He's like, "Yeah, do whatever you want." So I spin, axe cleaves. I cleave the fucking door in half, right? Split that bitch. Hit the person on the other side. We run to the door, and I'm like talking. They're like, "Oh, you killed the person," and everybody's asking me. They're like, "What happened?" I was like, "I heard a strange noise. I think that guy was trying to set us up." Royal fucking guard, obviously, because why wouldn't it be? So I accidentally killed a royal guard, and so now we're being chased through this town. I make the decision like, "Hey, let's run to the roof." We run to the roof of the fucking tavern, and now this building is like there's like a 10-yard gap. For those of y'all that don't know, we're getting into the weeds kind of right now about D&D, but for those that don't know, dwarves are very heavy fucking creatures and cannot jump very well. So I was like, I look right, and I can see two royal guards climbing up the stairs of the opposite building. And he's like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I'm gonna jump from the top of this building through that window and tackle those two guards." And then he's like, "All right, hold on, you can't fucking do it." I said, "Why not? I can try." And he's like, "It's only successful
Your
if you roll a 20."
acrobatics are -6. There's no way. Sorry.
Okay, check it out. He's like,
Busted your
literally,
balls.
he's like, yeah, no. It's guy. Listen, he said the same shit. He's like, no, fuck no. And I was like, hold on, I get the chance, don't I? And he's like, fine, but he's like, I'm telling you, if you don't roll a fucking 20, he's like, you don't get it. He's like, you get a 19, you fail. I was like, fine. I do the spinner, I hit a 20, Guile. So I bust through the fucking shit, and I bust through the window and I tackle him, and I'm doing like crazy shit where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fucking elbow this guy in the dick and then choke the other one out. Like, just saying dumb shit to where at the end of that day, he got so pissed. He was like, "You be Dungeon Master, asshole." And I was like, what I do? I was like, hey, I'm trying to get away. Where we basically rampaged through this fucking town and then had to spend the night in the woods because we got like wanted by everybody in the fucking town. Ruined the tavern, ruined the fucking hotel next door by busting through their fucking shit. Just ruined everything in this town. Set fire to oh god, I forgot what we set fire to, but set fire to somebody's fucking shop or some shit. Like it went terribly, guy. It went terribly. All because I'm like, to me, I'm thinking on the fly. I'm like, dog, we got to get away, guys. You know what I mean? So what better way to get away than just to cause death and destruction everywhere? And so he didn't like that. Apparently, I was ruining his game.
Yeah, but that always happens whenever you DM. You have an idea. Okay, they're gonna go in the town. They're gonna get this information. They're gonna go on the quest based on that information, and probably go get the supplies, the stuff that they need for it. I'll drop little hints because they need to pay attention that they might need these type of spells. They might need this type of armor or whatever to deal with what's going to be happening. A month from now, because we're going to be playing every weekend, and eventually they're going to get to this forest area. But then you go rampant through the town, and you're like, well, shit, there goes all that planning I did, and now I got to come up with something else on the fly. But I realized it doesn't have to be over there. If you rampage through town and leave, all right, fine. You're still going to have that fight you had over there, but now it's over here, and now you don't have the supplies you need, and you're going to get fucked. So it's more fun for me because you just fucked yourself because you wanted to be a murder hobo. So whatever. So that's why I enjoy being a DM because, okay, you want to fuck with my plans? I'm going to make your life miserable. And your character's going to die, and then you're going to have to re-roll. You're going to be a level 1. Everyone else is going to be level 7. And the dragon you're going to fight is a level 10. So good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Cause see, that was the thing, right? So when I became DM after that first day, see, I'm not an idiot. I said, give me 2 weeks. I told them to give me 2 weeks. I went to the library and checked out a Dungeon Master book. So I was reading it, and it gives you story ideas, and it tells you it's like, hey, the best thing you can do is be fluid. And it said because they're technically allowed to do whatever they want. And it said if you're in a town and there's two towns nearby, he's like, you need a scenario for both towns and the surrounding forest. He's like, because they can choose to go to either town or say, fuck both these towns and cut through the forest to try to get through a third town. And he's like, so, I was reading this shit and I'm like, I can fucking do this shit. So I did it because, I got a great imagination. Plus, I love reading, like, for those that don't know, they actually make, like, Dungeons and Dragons books with, like, pre-made stories and shit. And I would read those in my free time because I loved them. You know what I'm saying? So I would read like that, fantasy books like by R.A. Salvatore and shit like that. One of my favorite fantasy authors. So I'm just like consuming fantasy all the fucking time. So when I became DM, man, and we started a campaign, that shit ended up going for like 6 months until somebody left. And I remember when he was leaving, he's like, man, he's like, you were like the best fucking DM, dude. He's like, it's so much fun. He's like, we can do whatever the fuck we want. You know what I'm saying? And I never tried overly hard to like just murder them because I'm like, I want to just go for as long as possible. But I also don't want them to be OP either. But the shit was definitely tough. The hardest part was one of the guys picked a paladin, and then I put him in a situation where he had to choose to like desecrate his god. and that's a whole nother thing, guys. That's super tough. But yeah, man, damn, that shit was so much fun, bro. And see, I got out and I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons again because I'm like, man, it's so fun. I couldn't find a video game that was good enough. I tried to teach my brothers how to do it, but they didn't want to stick with it. And then I tried picking like a D and D uh uh like not necessarily a subreddit, but like a board type thing or like a podcast. And it doesn't work. But I've definitely missed it a lot, and I don't have enough friends that play Dungeons and Dragons to where I can't start my own thing. But one of these days, I'm gonna find some, and Boogie the Dwarf is gonna start fucking some shit up again, guys.
Well, Gaio's purpose in cement block. Wait, the fuck block talk is finally here to talk about fucking fantasy Dungeons and Dragons. And one of my prized positions, not my prized position, but one of my prized position is Towers of Midnight by Robert Jordan. It is the Wheel of Time series, and has his autograph.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and he's dead, so nobody else can get his autograph. I mean, you can buy shit with his autograph, but you can't go out and get his autograph anymore.
Yeah, God, I love those fucking books too, man. They were great. Yeah, the Wheel of Time one and God, Staff of something.
Baldur's Gate is like kind of like a whole thing, and then Baldur's Gate, the video game, I've been wanting to try it, but right now it's like in a beta, and it's based on D&D 5 mechanics, but I don't want to get it because technically it's a beta right now, and you can progress and learn how to play the system, but then once they go live, then what I heard is your characters are going to disappear. You're going to lose the beta characters that you did. So like, I'm not going to go through all the trouble of developing a character and then lose it whenever it comes live. So whatever.
Yeah, man, I fucking love all that fucking shit. Like, especially oh God, there was a fucking series, and I can't fucking remember. God damn it! Hold on, give me 1 second because this is gonna bother the shit out of me before we wrap this up.
A book or a TV show?
And it's a series that R.A. Salvatore had that I fucking
Oh,
used to love. Um,
on a similar note, I'm surprised. Uh, like Game of Thrones was a much better series than it was a book. Usually the books are a lot better, but Game of Thrones kind of, or A Song of Ice and Fire kind of felt a little forced, altogether. But
minus
anyways,
minus that last season though. I actually really like the books. I'm still waiting on the new one to drop, but I actually really like the books and the so far in the books where I'm at. It's better than the ending of the TV show. The ending of the TV show sucked. It's called The Orc King, by the way. I love the fucking Orc King by
oh
R.A.
yeah, yeah,
Salvatore.
yeah, yeah. God, that's fuck. I read that forever ago. Fuck, I'm old. I know. Yeah, I'm fucking damn. I'm fucking old. Yeah, Jesus H. I think I read it in high school or after high school.
Yeah. There was another one that I read. Uh, what's it fucking called? Mm, fuck. I think it's called The Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's Richard something.
Sounds familiar.
It's about this sorcerer named Richard, and like he doesn't know he's a fucking sorcerer or whatever, and he kind of goes through. He ends up getting married and shit like that. But it's like a long ass book series. It has like 12 or 13 books in it. Fucking loved it. Anyway,
Is it by Pratchett? Terry Pratchett? Because I know he also did Discworld, which was
yes,
also. I mean, that's a great
Terry
series.
Terry Goodkind. Terry
Oh no.
Goodkind, I
Okay.
think, is his name.
Hmm.
Something like that. Hold on, let me double check that because now I feel like I'm an asshole if I made that up.
Well, Discworld is a pretty good series in and of itself, but it's more sci-fi fantasy, but it has like fantasy elements. So it's like think
Ah,
Guardians
I
of the
was right. Terry
Galaxy.
Goodkind. Fuck yeah.
Good kind. Okay.
Yeah, Terry
Sounds fucking
Goodkind.
familiar.
Yeah, it's
Anyways,
Wizard's First Rule, Stone of Tears, Blood of the Fold. I read all these fucking bitches. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And it finishes with Chain Fire, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 12 fucking books in the series by Terry Goodkind. And I can't remember the name of the series, but I remember the name of the book is Wizard's First Rule. And I loved those fucking Sword of Truth. That's the name of the series. Sword of Truth. It's the Sword of Truth series. I loved it so much. That was like my favorite fantasy book when I was in prison. But oh yeah, thank you guys so much for coming this week. And as you can tell, this is a filler episode, and that's fine with me because I had a blast. So I hope you guys had a blast too. And if you like fantasy books, I hope you found something you can use. So you know what I mean. And if not, don't come back. I don't really give a shit. And I'll be fine without you. Nah, but come back, like, rate, review, subscribe, all that good fucking jazz. And Guy, tell them where they can find you at.
Oh man, I'm super easy. Just sucias.xyz. You can hit me up there, hit me a message. If you want to complain about this episode, complain about anything, complain about my show, whatever. I'll listen and we can have a conversation about it, and hopefully it could turn into a good episode. We'll make some shit better. But either way, I love being here, talking with Boogie, always learning new shit, and hopefully entertaining you guys as well.
And make sure you guys check out Block Talk everywhere the podcasts are available. Also on YouTube. The YouTube feed is always live or whatever. At 7 a.m. on Fridays. There we go. I had to think about the time. 7 a.m. on Fridays. The episode will always premiere. Audio will be available from like 3 a.m. if you just want to listen to the audio. Spotify also has video. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, review, all that great jazz. Really helps out the algorithm. And thank you guys for stopping by. And if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, it's cementblock_productions. And we'll see you guys next week.
I see you, Block.